One of the things that I think is so powerful is we hear the word light as if it is just a simple word, but it is not. It is not a simple word. It is the power of the universe is light. And this concept that Jesus spoke in parables, and he spoke in stories so that you could take from the story whatever level it was that you had to receive it. And if you really start thinking about how incredibly fast things are moving in our consciousness and our awakening, and you recognize that every teaching that has been ever given is given on some level of parable, because you can take from it whatever you're ready to hear, because there's always more to be revealed, always more to be learned. And the Bible starts with, let there be light. The Bible starts with, there was light. What is light? Light is energy. Light is energy. And it is only in the last couple hundred years that we've really started to move into the quantum field of understanding the incredible extent of what that energy is. I gave a talk with this title. The talks are always different, a couple of weeks ago. And my mom came with me on that drive so that we had time together, and then came to the talk. And my mom was a PhD spectroscopist when I was growing up. Spectroscopy is light. It is the measurement of light. And it's the ability to have a machine that can detect more than what our eyes can see. And that we only see this very limited amount of light with our own perception. And that there is light on either side that those machines can detect. And what science says is there's even more, to infinity on either side, that is undetectable to us at this point. Now, if we know this in science, and you start thinking about this in science, what we can see, what is our perception, and the fact that light is energy, and that through measuring light, you can see what elements. That's what my mom used to do, is that they would put a sample in the machine, and the machine would send light, and then that would detect, oh, there's this amount of elements, there's this amount of elements. In spirituality, we're actually talking about a larger way of detection. We're talking about the fact that our light, our energy, is a vibration, is an actual real vibration. And I found in my office this Hawkins scale. Has anyone ever heard of the Hawkins scale? So it's interesting because it's almost like the same thing as spectroscopy, but it's around our emotions. So it's saying that low energy, so you have different waves of energy. Down at the bottom is shame, suffering, grief. So when you're in low energy waves, and this is light, right? Low energy waves, you have suffering and grief. It moves up to guilt, apathy, grief, fear, desire, anger, pride, courage, neutrality, willingness, acceptance, reason, love, joy, peace, and enlightenment. So this reality, this truth that as we raise our energy, our vibration, we actually move up the energetic scale in just very basic terms. But what I want to really bring in is this concept that we are hearing all the time, different wisdoms that come in about light, but we're not allowing ourselves to truly feel the magnitude of what those messages were. So I pulled up a whole bunch of quotes that I wanted to start with sharing with you. I'm going to start with the Fillmores because they're the founders of Unity. And one of the things that I said down in Littleton that I've been thinking a lot about lately is, can you imagine if Charles and Myrtle were alive today? Can you imagine what they would be interested in and what they would be sharing with us? They were on the forefront of thought. They were bringing forward things that nobody had talked about. They were sharing this concept about healing on a level that had never been known before. Myrtle was actually the one who started it. Myrtle was the one that had all the energy and was doing this healing and sharing her story. Charles was a railroad worker who came across her and was inspired by her. It's really Myrtle who had this energy and this knowing that she had this power within her. She had the light within her. And she said, when we let light flood us with its sunshine, all clouds vanish and begin to see ourselves in new ways of doing. When we let light flood us with its sunshine. And she didn't even know all the stuff that we know now about the energy of the sun and the rays that come from the sun and how affected we are by solar flares, or, that there's so much energy that's coming from that. Right now, all the planets are lining up. Anybody feeling the energy of everything that's happening? Today is supposed to be a very specific day because Mercury is lining up with the sun. We're recognizing that there's so much more to how we are receiving energy than ever before. And Myrtle felt that. She knew that. So she also said, the light of God revealed to us. The thought came to me first that life was God, and we are inseparable with that source. Again, light, right? But we don't allow ourselves, because we're in the parable, to believe that this is a divinity within us, that we are this cosmic light, that we are energy, that we are created one with this incredible creative divine energy. So we're talking about energy. Charles said, light is a symbol of wisdom. Where there is wisdom, there is light. He said, the light of spirit reveals that there is no darkness in truth, only the shadow cast by our limited perception. Right now, there's a lot of difference between the light and the dark. And when you use a judgment, you're seeing the dark as bad. And what I teach in soul recovery is there is no judgment. And I'm inspired by the Course in Miracles very heavily in this concept. It is not about judging light and dark and good and bad. It's about recognizing that there is both. After it says, the God said, let there be light, it also says, and then there was darkness, that he separated the two, because you need the polarity of both. You can't have lightness without dark. You cannot have joy without feeling pain. You can't have creation without this interesting mix of how it all plays in together. The yin and the yang, the light and the dark. So this concept is not around one being better than the other, but the incredible importance of how they interact with each other. And then the awareness today in the reading, it said, you choose power. You choose which one you're going to have. I've been listening a lot to Michael Newton. Anybody listen to Michael Newton, the Life Between Lives stuff? And I've gone all the way off on the Dolores Cannon and some pretty wild stuff, right? If you think about your soul, this is the kind of stuff I think Charles and Myrtle would really be into now. If you think about this concept of our souls, and our souls are constantly coming here, we talk about this on a regular basis, that there's a reincarnation, that our souls are here to learn and to expand. We are offered every moment this opportunity to be who we were brought here to be, who our souls were brought here to be. And it was to be magnificent. It was to shine your light. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. These are songs that we sang when we were little. These are songs that are, again, in parable, that we are just thinking, this little light of mine. No, that's not what we learn in unity. This enormous light of mine, this grand light of mine. In Matthew, it says, you are the light of the world. You are the light of the world. A city set on a hill cannot be hidden. You are a city set on a hill who cannot be hidden. But we are taught and we're brought to be small again and again. Everything in the Bible, it says light in the Bible over 200 times. And again, if you read these from the parable concept, you can either take it very literally, like they do in traditional Christianity. We're here for metaphysics. We're here for the big stuff. We're here for the mysticism. And back in the 40s, they found the Dead Sea Scrolls, which had so much mystical teachings that were hidden because they weren't ready yet. The religious institutions weren't ready for them yet. And they were afraid that if they gave power to the people, that they wouldn't be able to control the people, right? We are in a spiritual awakening right now, which is around higher consciousness. And I was talking to Dee before people started coming on. She is 95 years old. These concepts were not talked about when she was a little girl because it hadn't come yet. And here she is. She created this church, this community, which is raising consciousnesses, which is founded on the Fillmores, which is founded on Myrtle, who healed herself from tuberculosis. She shined her light. She felt that knowing, that incredible wisdom that says, if I tune my energy up to this level, it is unlimited. That these teachings that are in the Bible that say you too can have this is real. If you have faith the size of a mustard seed, you can move mountains. Jesus said. We don't believe that. Where does that come from? That comes from energy. What is energy? Energy is light. Last time I talked in the morning, I heard the song, I am as God created me, in the light, in the love, in the glory. I am as God created me, in the light. And then Robert Anderson sang that song. And I knew that it was divine. I knew that it was divine. I heard that in the morning. I am as God created me. We don't believe it. We don't believe it. So other quotes that I asked ChatGPT to pull, which is cute because it also pulled some of mine, which I thought that was great. So it says, Maya Angelou said, nothing can dim the light that shines from within. Feel these from this level of the truth of who you are and who you were brought here to be. Feel these from the mystical, metaphysical teachings of Charles and Myrtle. Feel these from this knowing. Marianne Williamson says, as we let our own light shine, we unconsciously give other people permission to do the same. Matthew said, you are the light of the world. A city set on a hillside cannot be hidden. Shakti says, the more light you allow within, the brighter the world you live in will be. Your light illuminates. Light is illumination. And what's interesting is darkness cannot dim the light. If you have light and dark, the light will always win. It will always win. But there is levels of light. You can have lower light, you can have dim light, you can have incredibly bright light. And there are lights that are so bright that they shine out stadiums, they fill entire expanses. We are being invited to be that level of light. And what happens when you allow that level of light is you illumine the darkness. Now, if you go back to the beginning and you start talking about what is the difference between light and dark, we're not judging darkness as being bad. We're saying that everybody has choice in how they're showing up with themselves. And the spiritual mystical teachings say that suffering is part of it. Power, greed, sloth, the 7 deadly sins, this is part of being a human being. Buddhism teaches that life is suffering. What it's basically saying is life is hard. This is a fact. This is true. The suffering is our attachment to wanting it to be different. There is a way, a spiritual path. To follow the spiritual path is the healing. That is the illumination. That is the light. And the more that we stop judging everything outside as being horrible or terrible or thinking we have to fix it, no one says we have to fix it. No one says it's our job to make it better for everybody else. Every spiritual teaching says your job is to be a light in the world, that when you shine your light, you bring light to others, you illumine what is dark, and they may choose to light their own light. My quote that ChatGTP pulled up says, when you let go of fear and step into your true self, your light becomes a beacon for others. We have people in our lives. My entire ministry is based on the fact that there's people in your lives who are struggling. How do you show up when people in your life are struggling? How do you show up when you have somebody in your life who's an addict? How do you show up when you grew up in a difficult thing? How you shine your light. You come as a soul to fully express who you were brought here to be. That's why you're here. And as you tune your energy level, it's like a radio wave. If you have your energy level tuned to 93.7, you're going to get the radio station, you're going to get the music at 93.7. If you don't like that kind of music, don't tune to that dial. If you like classical, you got to be on the classical end. If you like country, you got to be on the country dial. This is about us being mindful and careful about the fact that our perception, as Charles said, is limited, how we choose to see it. One of my main teachings is it is as you choose to see it. It is as much light as you're willing to offer to the world, that you see, you illumine for your own vision, for your own path. And what's happening in the world right now, I have to trust is part of something greater that I can't possibly understand. But what I can say is that every time I play into the darkness, I am feeding the darkness. When I play into the news and the upset, I am creating more fear. And the fear is moving into the dark. You're dimming your light. So it doesn't mean you ignore what's happening. We're powerless over what's happening on a grand scale, but on a minor scale, your light changes everything. And all it takes is one person. And I know stories of how one person changed things for an enormous amount of people. My recovery has become a light to thousands and thousands of people, and I am beyond honored and grateful for that. Do I do it for them? No, I don't do it for them. I do it for me. I do it because this light has changed my life. And from that, I have the energy to expand and to share with others. If I think my job is to fix them, you're putting a bushel on your light. I watched something recently that was about a trash picker in India. And in India, there's the caste system. And if you grew up in the untouchables, too bad for you. And this man had been a trash picker, and he realized that being uneducated was the block. Being uneducated was the block. And you know what? He found a way to learn to read and write. And then he started teaching others how to read and write. And through that little bit of expansion, his light blossomed and illuminated. He has eventually created a school that is now all over India that takes untouchables and teaches them how to read and write and gets them out of being trash pickers. And that one light has brought change to thousands and thousands of people, who it then illuminates onto the next thing. This is the Great Awakening. This is where we are in our consciousness right now. And it isn't about the power of thinking that you're responsible for all of it. It's the recognition that you were brought here on purpose to be you, uniquely you. And especially when we get to this part of our lives where we're in chapters where there's only so much left. So who are you going to be in this chapter? How are you going to spend your time? If you allow the darkness to dim your light with fear, with the things that are happening not only in the world, but maybe with friends and family, you actually dampen your own energy. You lessen the ability for you to be in your full presence. And that doesn't benefit anyone. When we do the prayer for everyone, what I think is so interesting is when I close my eyes, light bursts from me. I don't think, I hope this works out the way that I want it to work out. And may they, no, it's a bursting of light that just is illuminating whatever it is for them. We can't possibly know why it has to be whatever it is for each soul. And if you go into the mystical beliefs, say, for some people, this is their journey and it doesn't look the way that we think that it should look. But guess who you have power over? You. That's what the reading was today. That's the only place that you have dominion, is over you and shining your light and connecting to your light. So I'd like to go into a meditation where we can connect with our inner light. So I invite you to close your eyes and take a deep breath. And with each breath that you're bringing in, feel light. Imagine bright, brilliant light that is love, that is healing, that is wholeness, radiating into your every cell. Light is indeed wisdom. It's love. There are codes, there are messages, there is information in the light. It offers guidance and healing, and compassion and grace. In the light, we are illuminated to see, to have a change of perception, to feel the love of spirit, to be one with the great creator. We connect to something even greater still. We connect to our divinity, to our divine being. We don't need to do anything other than to allow this light to illumine for us what is ours to do. Let your light shine. The greatest gift that you can give to the world is to shine so brightly. As we each shine, we are creating light and energy and love and higher consciousness that is more than we could possibly understand. We are changing our inner structure, the codes of long time sadness, dysfunction, fear. We are changing how we as a human society see the world. We are illuminating everything. Trust, have faith, believe in this great source of energy, of light. Tune your dial to be of a higher frequency. See that light flooding not only within you, but bursting out, radiating like a beam, shining light and love and compassion and allowing others to be illuminated, but you are not to shine their light. That is their responsibility. Divine Spirit, we are so grateful for this opportunity to be incarnated here in this precious light. May we let our lights shine. May we feel the connection to Source. This little light of mine, I'm going to let it shine. And so it is. Namaste. The Recover Your Soul podcast and its content is for educational purposes only and is not allied or representative of any organizations or religions. It's based on the opinions and experience of Reverend Rachel Harrison. Recover Your Soul claims no responsibility to any persons or entity for any liability, loss, damage, or cause alleged to be caused directly or indirectly as a result of its use. Applications or interpretations of the information represented herein. Take what you need and leave the rest.